Stephen Ellis is with us from Daily Faceoff. What's the weird food thing that you do? Do you have a weird food thing that you like that's kind of weird?
So I can beat pretty much everybody on this because I was born without the ability to smell anything. So as a result, I can basically just eat anything super spicy and it doesn't bother me. And like I'll eat like a ghost chili pepper for fun. Like, you know, I one time won a competition where see who could do the most like hot sauce shots, and I won that in basically record time. It was the easiest thing. Oh yeah, in Nashville they have their hot chicken sandwich, and the one place I went to, Hattie B's,
Hattie B's. We were there.
I got the hottest one possible at the draft last year, and they asked, like, they said, like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I finished it in like 30 seconds. It was like, it didn't bother me at all. It wasn't spicy. It's like, so I could eat any spicy food basically on the planet.
And you've never had the sense of smell? Born without it?
Never since I was born. It's called anosmia, and it's basically a thing that's pretty rare. But like when everyone in COVID was losing their sense of smell, I'm like, welcome to the club, guys.
Welcome to the club. But you know what? Like, I know some people will sit here and feel bad for you. I don't. You've never had it. So it's not like you had something taken away, so you don't know what you're missing, right?
Exactly. Like, it's never bothered me. And, like, if anything, there's an advantages of, like, when I go on a flight, for example, a lot of people don't want to be close to the bathroom because it will not smell great. And, like, hey, if it means I get a better spot, if it means I get the aisle or I get the window seat because no one wants to be there, I'll take it.
Yeah. What does it do for your sense of taste then?
So I pretty much have to eat spicy stuff to taste things half the time, and it's like I put hot sauce on basically everything I have. I've had a couple hot sauces where you have to sign like waiver forms because like they're like if you take too much of it, it's too dangerous for you. So like I've had that the one chip challenge, that hot chip thingy is nothing. The hot one.
What are you doing in sports media? You should be in Vegas at competitions. Like, I bet you I can eat hotter than you can. You know, you should be on hot ones. You could probably make a pretty great living at this.
You know what? It's funny because like when it comes to like I have done competitions and I got banned from one of them because I was too good at it because I could take too much hot sauce.
Unbelievable.
I like it.
We learned something new today. I love that. That's good. Well, interesting. Where do we go from here? No, look, we were talking about the Oilers and their situation. Are you in Edmonton currently? You reside there?
No, so I'm from Oakville, outside of Toronto, and then I was in Edmonton just for the week in the Huntington Gretzky. Yeah. I saw someone chop their toe off, so that was a good experience.
Forget about hockey. Tell me how somebody chopped their toe off.
Downtown could be an interesting place. I'll just say that this guy had needles in him and he didn't feel it. So.
Oh, no.
I'm just hearing Mike Richards in my head talking about the city of Edmonton. Yeah. Okay. He just randomly cut his toe off?
Oh, there put it this way. It was always a good thing when you saw people that were wearing pants because there were people just taking dumps all over the city. It was an experience, but you know, the people there were super nice. And if you go outside of the downtown area, it's a pretty good place.
Beautiful.
Okay. Edmonton stories. Interesting. Let's start. Actually, you know what? Let's start in the Hlinka Gretzky and your takeaways because, we were missing the top two players potentially for the upcoming NHL draft because they aged out. But you still had Gavin McKenna, who's projected to be a top pick in 2026, and he didn't disappoint, did he?
Actually, I'd argue that was probably the worst tournament I've seen him play. I've seen him play 3 international tournaments for Canada. He still had like 6 points, but that was not the guy that we saw at the U18 World Championship in Finland who just took over and was the best player on the ice every time he was there. And James Hagen's the top prospect for 2025 was the MVP in that tournament, but when they played against each other, he was not the better of the two guys out there. So I think, when it comes to what McKenna, like we've seen him play better. I feel like there were points where I think he was there for marketing reasons, to be honest, because like, hey, we got this star prospect. Come look at him. Like, why would he want to be there given, he just played in the tournament in April. Connor McDavid skipped this tournament because they're like, okay, like what does he have to prove at this point? But he still went out there and still put up 6 points this week or last week. And I think we didn't see the guy who was able to take over games and be the best player on every shift. But he's still Gavin McKenna. This is still a 1 week event. Like, we know he's probably going to put up like 120 points this year in the WHL. He's going to become a star. I'm not worried.
With the talk about these offer sheets coming down to Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway, the Oilers have potential to pick up a second-round draft pick in this upcoming draft and a third if they don't match these offers. What does the draft look like, and how valuable are these picks?
It's still really early. I'm kind of under the sense that this will not be as strong as 23 or 24. So I think in that case, we're not going to see, maybe the best value later on. But with the Oilers, like they traded to make sure they can go out and get the guy they wanted last year in Sam O'Reilly. And I thought that was a good one. At this point, I think take whatever you get for Philip Broberg, because the salary that the Blues offered him, it's like that's going to hurt the Blues, I think, more than anything. And so, like, take that opportunity to move on, see what you could do with your other young prospects. And but they should keep Dylan Holloway. I do think Holloway's just getting started, and he's going to be a pretty big goal scorer for them at some point.
I'm glad you said that, because we were talking about it in the last segment, and I said, look, you probably can only keep one, and I'd want to keep Holloway. He was playing with Leon Draisaitl for a good chunk of last season on the right wing. Broberg in and out of the lineup, both players with upside, but who's ready to step in terms of young prospects with the Oilers if you decide to try and go cheaper and maybe move on from Broberg and or Holloway?
It's interesting because the Oilers do have one of the worst prospect pools in the game, and Bo Akey is a guy that people are looking at as being a big future piece, but he's still a few years away. I guess the one that'd be interesting to see if he can actually play this year is Max Wayner, 21-year-old right-handed defenseman. He's very difficult to play against, big guy. He was a 7th-round pick 3 years ago, but the thing with him, it just seemed like once he got to the AHL, he figured it out. He figured out how to be a much better defenseman, how he was a lot more comfortable with the puck, and he can go out there and hit guys. So I think that will be one that will be, I think we're looking at here. But realistically, there's not a ton of defensemen in the system, so that could be one reason why they don't let him go. But at the same time, it's like, what was the salary? Like $4 million per season? It's like, that's not worth it.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's a lot of money, and a team in Edmonton that's right up against the cap, over the cap, and going to have trouble this year. Got to sign Leon Draisaitl, which is going to bump his number up significantly. So it will be fun to follow this. Auston Matthews, were you watching the press conference this morning? I know you're in the area. So how do we feel about Auston Matthews being the 26th captain in Leafs history?
You know what? It felt like it was only a matter of time. I think it's interesting that, Tavares was still under contract when they did that. But at the same time, always the possibility this is Tavares' last year in Toronto. And I think, having this ability to have a feel-good moment where the team hasn't had a lot of those in the last couple of years, the changing of the guard, I think is actually kind of cool from a PR marketing standpoint. In terms of what it will do for the team performance, I doubt it does anything, because I think people overrate what captains are in hockey, because the only people that should really care who the captain is are the players themselves, the ones who actually get to see the actual impact off the ice. Because you got a lot of leaders on a team, you got a lot of guys who've been captains at other levels. It's not like everyone's misguided when they get here, but when it comes to this team, you got your biggest star potentially they've ever had. He's one of the best players in the NHL. Now you've got him, giving him the C. I think will be pretty exciting to see that for the Leafs home opener.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, Tavares had his family there. Matthews' family was there. Said all the right things. And you're right. This matters to the players. So seems like everybody's in a pretty good spot. Looking forward to seeing what this does. And, if at all, if it affects this team or Auston Matthews. And talked about that before. A distraction wearing the C. Well, I mean, did anybody do more interviews in Toronto than Matthews? Typically, day in and day out. I don't know this is going to be a big distraction to him. Look, before we let you go, the other event you were at this summer was the Summer Showcase, the World Junior Showcase. Kind of early to get into there. We're talking about December, but how's Canada looking? Who are some of the names that we can start following in the O and the Q and the Dub as we get set to watch Canada at Christmas time again?
Well, to kind of sticking with the Leafs, I do expect Easton Cowan to be a big part of this team. He's a returning player, and I didn't actually get to see him play because they cut him before they brought the team to Plymouth for the final 2 days. They cut all the returning players. I know some Leaf fans were wondering, "Oh, they cut Cowan." It's like, no, they didn't cut the guy who was the playoff and the playoff and regular season MVP in the OHL. No, they kind of know what to get from him. I think he's going to play a big role. Going out west, I'm excited for the potential of seeing Riley Heidt and Brady Yeager play together because they were both really good together growing up in Saskatchewan. I think they're going to make a lot of fans excited there. Bradley Nadeau has a shot at making the Carolina Hurricanes this year. My guess is he won't, and he'll be at the World Junior team. On defense, Sam Dickinson, San Jose's top defensive prospect, will be there. Zane Parekh got drafted out of Calgary, so those guys will be fun to watch. And net is definitely the big question mark, but also not in a bad way either. I think it's just this year they have a lot more options right from the get-go that make a lot of sense. Carson Bjarnason's good. Scott Ratzlaff's good. Goalie from the WHL that also might be interesting from Prince George, Joshua Ravensbergen. He's a draft prospect for this year. He's 6'4" and one of the best goalies in the WHL. So this team is going to contend for a medal. The Americans might have the upper hand as the returning team, bringing back a lot of those returning guys. But Canada is going to be a team that's just, I think their big strength is they don't have a number one star. They don't have a Connor Bedard. They don't have a Macklin Celebrini. But they've got 4 scoring lines, and they're going to have so many defensive options that I feel like it's going to be hard to screw this up, and I think they should contend for a medal.
Well, it should be fun to watch, and the season just around the corner, going to start late September. Stephen, appreciate this. Enjoy the rest of the summer, whatever is left of it, and looking forward to the season, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Stephen Ellis from the Daily Faceoff joining us. Great update on the prospect train, but also some great insight and thoughts on what the Oilers are potentially looking at here over the next 6 days.